Hello, and welcome back to the Us Review. I'm Carla Davis Luster, your host. Here is where I discuss, and I always say, controversial topics regarding relationships, married or single, dating with a purpose. I always give a brief recap of last week's show, which was a very fun one. It was very fun last week. It was entitled Love and Finances. Can finances affect a relationship? And I said, absolutely. We discussed the ways stress from financial burdens can manifest itself in the relationship. I also gave solutions to help rectify the issue or at least work to minimize the tension, okay? Today is a very interesting topic. This is season 1, episode 7, Does Age Matter? What are some pros and cons to dating or marrying younger or older? I asked the questions: when is younger too young, and when is older too old? I would say generally it shouldn't matter. It really should not matter. A relationship depends on the connection, attraction, and the feelings of the two individuals actually involved, regardless of their ages. A couple can have a bond as long as they have the attributes to maintain a healthy relationship, respect, and caring for each other, and with the most significant factor being that you have love for each other, okay? You love each other. If a couple has the right ingredients and they are happy and they keep the outside noise out, you always want to keep people out of your business, then there are ways to make it actually work. According to research, society and statistics suggest that the ideal age gap is 3 to 5 years, with the male being the oldest. Nowadays, according to the research, there are more couples with the age gap of 15 to 20 years. In a lot of cases, the woman is the older. Interesting. Funny, huh? I surveyed a few younger guys and ladies. Surprisingly, the guys preferred an older woman. Some of their reasons varied, okay? I'm not going to get into some of the reasons. It was pretty interesting, from finances to sexual, whatever else. However, they varied. And vice versa. The females didn't mind having a sugar daddy. And if you don't know what a sugar daddy is, and I think everybody do know, that's an older guy that lavishes a younger woman with gifts in turn for company or for sexual favors. One of the other studies I read suggested that men are more apt to date younger and marry younger. As opposed to women, we are more apprehensive, but will marry younger or older. So, with that said, I guess we are a little less picky, or the pickings are less, whichever way you want to put it, but we will do younger or older. Well, the rule that dates back more than 100 years suggested that we should not date anyone lesser than half your age plus 7. Now, I do know, and I do believe that all of you know where this is coming from or have heard it before, and that was a quote that was quoted in the movie Malcolm X. It was the scene where the minister was talking to Denzel Washington, which was playing Malcolm X, and I think he was trying to decide, was Angela Bassett, that version of it, was she, the right woman for him? And they were going through, if she's half his age and plus 7, then she's the right height. They went through the whole shebang. But I remember hearing all of that from the Malcolm X movie. With all of that said, today I am going to discuss the pros and cons to dating older or younger with an age gap. But before I start, let me say that there is no preference today from my novel, okay? I'm not going to take a preference from my novel today, but of course you can still purchase it on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and AskCarlaDL.com. And I am just still going to hold it up for you. It's called The Woman Tells. Here's the back. And then I am going to hold up my new one, I'm Not a Homewrecker Opportunist, Maybe. That's also on those websites, Amazon and at AskCarlaDL.com. So you can still get it. Please go purchase it. So, right now, let's talk about the positives of an age gap. This is for either scenario, male or female, is what I'm going to be talking about. I'm just going to kind of rattle off some positives, and then I'm going to rattle off. I hate to use the word negative, but I'm going to rattle off, some opportunities, and then I'm going to come back and give just a few suggestions on, if you're in the scenario, what you can actually do, or some things that you can do with your behaviors to actually help you, work through what you're going through. Once again, this is the male or female situation. The number one thing that I read when reading the research or whatever else was maturity. The maturityness of date, like if you're a younger person dating an older person, most likely the older person is going to be mature, and that is a great thing. You don't want some person running around acting like a kid, and you're dating trying to be grown, right? However, a man, being the older would be looked at, has said that they're looked at as being experienced. However, whereas a woman, if she's the older dating a younger guy, she's called a cougar. And I know you guys have heard that term a lot. It's been, it seemed like last summer I heard it quite a bit, cougar. However, if you don't know what a cougar is, it is actually an older woman seeking a relationship with a younger man. Here is where, I talk about the term paramour, the French term for a male mistress. This is where this would come into play. Should the older woman possibly be married, and she's got this little side piece or whatever, or, it wouldn't be a paramour if it's someone that is her guy or she's married younger. So just keep that in mind as well. However, the interesting piece about this is that they said that not only dating older are they going to be more mature, is that they will have interesting points of views due to the fact that they are more likely to have been more experienced in a lot of other areas, have done a lot of things, and a lot of times when an older person is marrying a younger person, the younger person experienced that the older person has been married. Definitely, if the older person is dating someone in their 20s, more than likely the younger in the 20s probably most likely haven't been married. They could possibly have children, whatever else, bringing children on the scene, but most likely in the 20s they have not been married. And one of the other positives of dating your younger, dating older, is that they're going to be more financially stable. The financial stability will be there because, hopefully someone that is up in age or whatever and have done a lot, doing things, they have an established career, they they have property, they're just more established than a young person in their 20s starting out. Nowadays we got 20-year-old millionaires. You're seeing kids like doing stuff and becoming millionaires at 6 because they've come up with these like great inventions. However, we're just talking generally speaking, this is a scenario that, the older person that you would date, you would hope that they are financially stable. And it will be a healthy balance because once again, they've experienced a lot. They're balanced. They're not, they've kind of like sold their wild oats, hopefully, and they're not running around. So it's kind of like a healthy balance with life in general, with just the things that they do. The older is, the person, if you're the younger person in a relationship with the older, and we're talking about the positives, the older person is, and hear me out, I'm saying the older person is less likely, according to research, less likely to cheat, okay? However, nowadays, I keep saying nowadays, however, in this survey, it's, or in this research, it's saying that the older person is less likely to cheat. Females, that are younger and they married older, in the case that, typically an older person probably already have children. However, sometimes when they start over a new life, it puts me in the mind of that movie, It's Complicated, whereas I guess the husband and the wife had divorced, and he moved on with a younger woman. She had a child, and he just looked so out of place trying to take care of the cow. But should the female be the younger, then you still have the opportunity to have children if that's something, you and the older person decides. So those were a few of the positives. I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the opportunities rather than saying negative, the opportunities. And Here's a concern because depending on the reasoning that you guys got together in the first place, the relationship could turn sour if it was not for the right reasons. The person, and they're not in for the longevity or in for the long haul or whatever. The younger person was just out to get something. A relationship could go sour very, very quickly, and bringing it to a higher chance of a divorce if had you guys got married, or if you guys are got married or whatever, and not or you took it past the dating stage, you know, and that would bring you to, like in some of the instances, I'm going to be saying the reverse in what I talked about with the positives. In this case, it would be marital instability as opposed to stability, because of, maybe the age gap, the interest, or whatever else is not there. The right reasons wasn't at play when you guys got together originally. So marital instability, the general likes and dislikes are different, because the music could be different. Music, food, just and food could be something that is, that's universal. You like what you like, you dislike what you dislike. But just the music, the genre of music, just activities that you might want to do. Depending on how old the older person is, it may be a limitation in physical ability. Their physical ability may not permit them to do certain things that may be a concern of the younger person, if they're wanting that person to be right there with them, and maybe you got together, there was love and la la, like I always talk about, and as you moved on through time, which I say time kind of tells you about a relationship, you start to discover, man, this is a little difficult because, hey, I didn't think about it. Maybe there's just some things that you just don't think about when you're in the situation. And as time goes by, it comes out. Jealousy. It's said that, I read that it's more likely that the older may be jealous of the younger, depending on, your settings, your situation, and just them being older, and you got this young, beautiful person, male or a handsome person, you can't take it. You've aged or whatever. I'm just trying to paint a scenario. So jealousy is something. Now, jealousy could go either way. It could be the younger is jealous of the older, depending on who the person is. The older person that you're dating, male or female, could have savvy, just, fly, whatever, still fly, whatever. I like to think, a lot of, I'm not 20, but I like to think a lot of my setting and friends and stuff like that, they're very fly, so there you have it. The younger, I talked about with the positives that the older person is more likely to not cheat because maybe they've sown their wild oats and have done some things and mature. And know how to conduct themselves and know how to do a look and see something that is attractive, but not necessarily chase it. And the reverse of that, the younger, young, haven't done a whole lot or whatever else, the younger could be more likely tempted to cheat. Now, keep in mind, all of this stuff is subject to it's hypothetical. It always depends on the person and the personality itself, and how a person conducts themselves, their behaviors, or whatever else. This is just generally speaking, and a general research would, typically research is minimally done, surveying like 100 people or more. But once again, the younger is tempted to possibly cheat, due to maybe a dissatisfaction in an area of the relationship. I just named that maybe some of the activities, the older person has a physical disability that will not permit them to do certain things. So once again, it's a lot going into play. That age gap, you're not the same. You're not, it's always going to be probably a variance. And depending on, once again, how well you guys are connected, it could be an issue. The older person in this case could act, and I'm going to, could act like, they're like a parent, more so they forget, you're the younger, and they're treating you more like their kid as opposed to their spouse. That could be a problem as well. The older to the younger person, a little creepy. The social disapproval when you guys are out and people are staring. Or here's one, you get someone talking to you, whatever else, and, oh, you guys look you having so much fun. This is your daughter is so beautiful, or your son is so handsome. and that's your spouse or your couple or your partner, that could be a little so the social disapproval, people staring, and the comments that don't know your scenario or don't know the situation, that you guys are actually a couple rather than mom and son, or son and daughter, or father and daughter, or whatever you want to say. Priorities are different, maybe the younger is still got the partying in them, and then the older priorities is that, I don't want to go out in the club and spend $300 when I can save that money, put it in a Roth account, or use that to pay a light bill. Just priorities are different. Or the younger want to go shopping, and the older want to pay up. It's just different priorities. And not to say that younger people don't pay their bills or anything like that. Is far from what I'm saying. I'm just saying, just trying to paint a picture of just the disconnect with the gap in age. Once again, having children, that's either way. It could be a positive with the female being younger, or a negative, whatever. Older woman being with a younger guy that doesn't have children and he wants children. That's a situation in itself as well. Unsatisfactory romance. I will, say a few things here. Is that they say when women, as they age or whatever, their sexual peak gets a little, gets better, as opposed to, they say when men, are getting older, theirs kind of, go downhill. So depending on the age and the gap, and where you are in your life, or where you are in your age, and whatever's going on, with your physical being, hopefully you're catching each other right at that point. Or, the older is, like wanting to do, and woman, as opposed to a guy, is slowing down, and they say that that's the reasoning why older women like to date younger guys, because they're, that kind of like meshes, with the age. They're kind of like at their peaks together. Whatever. So unsatisfactory romance could be an issue, and the opportunity. Just socializing in general. I spoke as if you're out with, just doing things, and people say stuff. But how about your family members and just people that are your friends or whatever else? Is there a disconnect? Are you the older person trying to fit in with the younger people, with the way you dress, the way you're trying to act, the way are you being yourself, or vice versa? With that. So the socializing can get a little bit challenging, because, maybe, you're a couple that just like to do stuff with yourself, and you don't really care about all of that. However, socializing can be a little bit of a challenge. The older person, it said that, some controlling can go in there, and that can go either way as well, with the crab in the barrel syndrome, trying to hold you back from doing things because they're limited, so man, this is a pretty interesting topic. It said, the older could be mean and cantankerous. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that I read, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff. And I, just thinking about the topic, there is a lot of it, with people dating with age gaps, but there are a lot of people that are making it work. A lot of people, so it's who you love. If, and let me just say this, if you are in that type of relationship, and if you are really genuinely committed to that relationship, let me talk about, now I'm going to move on off of the opportunities. I've talked about some positives. I've talked about some opportunities. If you've just tuned in, this is season 1, episode 7, Does Age Matter? We're talking about age gaps in relationships, with either females being the older dating younger guys, which they call them cougars, or the male, like preferring a younger woman. They're calling them sugar daddies or whatever else. The name sugar daddies. That's what we're talking about today. Does age matter? Once again, if you are committed to that relationship, here I want to just throw out just some suggestions and ways to help make it work, because you love who you love. You got to make sure that you give each other space, and that you give each other that space to, just do maybe some things that each other like to do. And it doesn't have to necessarily be together. Maybe that the guy, he wants to get together with his friends and do a breakfast, or do a go watch football or something. In turn, she, if the female is the younger, she may want to get together with her girls, and maybe she may want to go, out to dinner. And she may want to, go to maybe a party or something like that. And people always say that's not good or whatever else, but at some point, you've got to live life, and you've got to trust if you're in a relationship. So it's got to be some trust. So giving space is a good one. Having patience, because it's not the cookie cutter type of relationship, and you guys, totally get each other. With an age gap, there may even be a language barrier to slang of what the younger may be using, and you don't even know what they're talking about if you're older. Just got to have patience, and you got to work together at understanding each other. You got to be flexible, because once again, that gap could bring in things that one can do and the other can't, or don't want to do, and you got to have understanding to say, okay, are you okay with me still doing it or whatever, and making sure that it's above board. You got to have that open mind. You definitely got to have that open mind. And you got to listen. You got to be silent when each other are talking to each other, and really understand and hear what's being said and what's being communicated to you, so that you can meet your partner's expectations and be able to, you guys are pleasing each other. And as much as you can, like I mentioned, unsatisfactory romance or whatever, hopefully you guys have worked that part out, and you try to keep it as active as possible, to make sure that, you are taking care of each other's needs. Once again, the biggest thing with any relationship, and definitely with a big age gap, communication is very key. Communication is very key, and just conversation, just understanding each other. You got to love them. If you've chosen to go this route, you got to love them unconditionally, meaning that, time does not stand still. Time keeps moving. And with time, people age or whatever. You got to love them unconditionally, because, if you guys are 20 and 40 now, you still, that 40 and 20, that's a good age, but you're going to be 40 and 60, and then 60 and 80, whatever else, and aging or whatever else. So you got to love unconditionally. You got to love past appearance. You got to love past, finances. You got to love past a lot of things. Love unconditionally if you're in this type of relationship. With all of that being said, in conclusion, like I stated in the beginning, generally it should not matter. A relationship depends on a connection, feelings, and attraction between two individuals. What others think doesn't matter. It should not be none of their business, okay? If you guys are loving on each other, be it an age gap, be it you're the same age or whatever else, it should not matter. If you found that connection and you found that love, it should not matter. It's just that you may have to work a little bit harder. But, who wants something that's easy? Not me. When you work for it, you tend to appreciate it a little bit better. Once again, I said, it's none of other people's business. It's between the two of you. In your heart, you have to know in your heart when the love is true. And if the love is true, it doesn't matter. So with that said, I'm going to ask you, make sure that you tune in next Tuesday. Here's a topic that I've gotten some questions. When am I going to talk about that? But I will be talking about why people cheat. And I'll be going back to taking my preface from The Woman Tells. So you will get a preference in me reading out of The Woman Tells next week. This is today's show. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Us Review. I'm Carla Davis Luster, your host. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow me across all of the platforms at Ask Carla. And until next time, please create a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.